Hi guys, this is stuff I find interesting. 67, part 2 of 67, because my computer is doing weird stuff. It needs to be taken apart, cleaned completely, and then put back together. So we'll see how far we get with this one, because I did one and it stopped. Now I'm doing another one. And it's already stopped like twice. So this is actually my third or fourth attempt. I don't even know. At this point, I just want to finish it. That song was brought to you by Matthew May, produced by Atomic and Simi Beats. He makes free music for you to use for your projects. I like his stuff. It's really good. It's really, I don't know, catchy. So we're going to start off with a cool book from 1902. So let's say you're a manufacturer and you want to start making some fabrics. This is all about the fabrics. And now this is the Farben Fabriken, which I find amusing. But the thing that I like the most about this little book here with the stuff in it are these pictures of the industry. Because women like, like normal regular women like me, we didn't necessarily wear such colorful stuff like back in the 1800s. It was more practical, and it was probably handmade. Machines like this meant that you could make a whole bunch of stuff, and you could make it really colorful. I just find these machines amazing. Just so incredible. So there you have it. Farben Fabriken for your enjoyment. It'll be in the links. Another thing I found that was kind of interesting, and this is where it shut down on me before. Let's see if we can get it to work. This is a ceramic medicine spoon from the 1800s, and these were used for infants. Oh, this is terrible. Get out of here. They were used to give infants medicine, but like a lot of different things, they're now collectible. Whereas at the time, it was just like, oh yeah, go get the medicine spoon. You can see this is an oldie. It's really cool. That one has like stuff on it. So you would put your little medicine in here, and you would hold it, and you would gently sort of put it into your your child's mouth. This one looks like a shoe. So I did antiques and collectibles for 3 years, and I can honestly say that I never came across... do you see that? Did you see that? Let's do that again. Well, at least it didn't shut me out this time. I did see a mustache cup. So it's a ceramic cup, and it has like a little bar across the top that has a shape like kind of like a bow tie pasta, and that's so that a person could put their mustache on it and drink your tea, coffee, whatever, without getting stuff in your mustache. Never saw a medicine spoon, however. I am absolutely fascinated by maps, as you well know. I love the maps, and I was like, let's see what's going on in Mongolia, and this is what I found. So we're scrolling into the mountains. Okay, let's check it out. Let's go in a little further. Oh, it looks very beautiful. Oh, wow. Okay, look at that. We have like a snowscape, something going on. And we got some northern lights, very beautiful. Vehicle, more northern lights. And then, it's Mogus, guys, on Google Earth. Somebody put their dog on Google Earth. Because I guess there's a way that you can do that. I have no idea. Now, this is actually probably more interesting to me than it is to you or to anybody else. And this is a church that I used to go to. And so to see it for sale makes me go, and have all kinds of imaginary conversations with myself wherein I win a lot of money and then buy the church and live in it. It's not super fancy. It's, practical. But I spent a lot of time in this church. And by a lot of time, I mean a couple of years. And this room specifically, I used to attend like a women's meeting. It wasn't really religious, it was more like spiritual. And we rented this room in this church. And so I had women's meetings there. We would talk about stuff that was going on in our lives, which was always interesting. So this is in Hyde Park, which is near the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Estate, near the Vanderbilt Mansion. It's a very beautiful area. I'm quite fond of it. The Hudson Valley. But for something completely different, and as you know, I've been absent for a bit, just a little bit. I saved this before anything happened in Lebanon, which makes this photo essay particularly poignant, because the title is James Kerwin Photographs the Timeless Charm of Abandoned Architecture Across Lebanon. So there's just abandoned architecture, and probably because of war, because of the things that we see happening now. War doesn't care if you're rich. I mean, you have a better shot of surviving, obviously, or being left alone, but if there's bombs coming in, that's it. This is beautiful houses. I love the way they're designed. They just feel so spacious and roomy and colorful, and now they're just crumbling. This one is particularly exquisite. Just crazy to me that they're just sitting there. It's like, okay, well, maybe we should just go and get one, right? Probably not. Probably a bad idea. But this is not an isolated thing, abandoned mansions, like a whole bunch of them. Indians, 10,000 forgotten mansions. What do you mean? One symbolic of the power and wealth of an Inuktitut Cheditar community. We're going to pretend I said that correctly. Thousands of gigantic and glamorous mansions in Tamil Nadu now lie in ruins. So there are these huge mansions. So, and it looks like, okay, so there's 10,000. Many of them span tens of thousands of square feet. They were gigantic, built by the rich merchant families. They amassed great wealth by trading precious stones. They rose to the peak of their power in 19th and early 20th centuries, but then when World War II hit, that was it. That was the end of that. These are some of the mansions that are just mind-blowing. Luckily, some of them have been saved and have been converted into hotels. But there's enough room here for a whole bunch of people to live. Look at this thing. It's Italian marble. So some of the mansions are lived in, which is kind of neat to think about. You just kind of go, hey, nobody's living in that mansion down the street. I think I'll go live in it. But most of them are falling apart, the majority of them. It's crazy to think about, right? Now, not only does India have mansions, I'm sorry, India has castles, abandoned castles, not just mansions, but whole big castles. Here's the list for the most beautiful abandoned castles. We have Leh Palace, Jal Mahal. That's beautiful. Let's look at that larger. Wow. That's incredible, right? The Ross Island, Jahangir Mahal. Let's bigify this one. Well, that's incredible. Oh no. What happened? Guys, what happened? Okay, there we go. Sangeet Mahal, City Palace, Jaipur. I believe this one is in a state of kind of like okayness, and that people are going to see it. The Royal Palace of Thanjavur. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which will protect it a little bit. The Marble Palace in Kolkata. Fernhills Palace in Uti. Look at that thing. That's beautiful. Ah, no. Anand Bagh Palace. It has this one has rare plant varieties that aren't found anywhere else, that are just growing for nobody, really. Now, India is all about the wealthy in India. Like as Americans, we think of wealth, right? There's like this whole other level that we can't even comprehend. This is the unbelievably opulent mega mansion of Mumbai. So this is not abandoned, but we had the mansions, the castles. Then there's this thing. It has 3 helipads, a 168-car garage, 9 elevators, and 4 floors just for plants. It cost $2 billion to complete, and it's in one of the most poverty-stricken areas of India. Here we can see it in full, the whole thing. Look at that thing. It looks like a kid built it with Legos. So it has, it's the shape that it is because of the principles of Vastu. I'm assuming that's a religious philosophy. It's 173 meters high, has 27 stories, 9 high-speed elevators. Some of the elevators are just for guests. It's steel and glass. And it houses Ambani, who's the rich guy who built this, his wife, 3 children, and his mother. They are based on the top 6 floors of the house. Maintenance floor. Permanent staff at the house, 600 people. 600 people. There's a lap pool, indoor swimming pool, jacuzzi that overlooks the Mumbai skyline. There is also there are plans to have an ice room where the family can enjoy man-made snow. There's a 50-seat home theater and dance studio. The theater space has wine room, snack bar, and entertaining space, couches, and tables. What? So I said to myself, I need to see more pictures of this thing. So then I found this other article which has some more pictures of it. So here we have one of the interior, part of the interior. We can see the staircase ain't no joke. Probably took a bunch of artisans like a whole year to create that thing. Actually, this shows them, not really their house. It shows a little bit of the house. Okay, I lied. It shows nothing. It's dumb. I'm sorry. But, again, wealth that you and I cannot even begin to understand, because it's just insane. Just insane. I've been around a lot of rich people, but I don't think I've been around that. Well, the rich guy that I was around, he was kind of maybe that wealthy. Was he that wealthy? No, not that wealthy. Close, though. I think the property that he had in Pauling was like $1 billion to make and staff and do all the stuff he was doing. At any rate, I digress. This is Derbent. As you know, I love going back to the maps. I'm on Google Maps, and I scroll in, and I go, let's look at this little, somehow I end up here. And I'm like, look at this little sliver of land between the mountains and the ocean. I'm like, this looks like a fascinating place. Let's look at its history. And then Derbent is ancient. Ancient, ancient, ancient. These are some of the buried parts of an old ancient fortress. There's a huge wall that goes through this area. There's called the Derbent Wall and the fortifications. So it's known as Derbent, Darband. I've seen it spelled a number of different ways. That's typical of this area. Things change names very quickly due to the upheaval. Here we have the map. And this is a picture of what Derbent in Dagestan, Russia looked like at its peak. It was considered one of the finest cities in the world because of where it's located. Let me go back to this. Because of where it's located, if we scroll out, we can see that it is poised. It's right here near the Middle East, right here near the, you've got like Georgia and stuff. So because of its location, it was extremely profitable back in the day. Lots of trade went through the area. This is, This is a gentleman on Live Journal, which I sometimes have to default to get information because you just can't get certain information anymore, or maybe you never could. This gentleman breaks down the whole history of the area. But there's a picture of, here's Derbent. Here's another, this is an engraving. Derbent was a fortified white stone city. There are 30 towers, but they were flooded by the sea, and now one large, strong tower stands in the water. There are 15 towers from the shore, and the 16th is in the middle of the city. The level of the Caspian Sea today is minus 29 meters, and the middle of Derbent is 8 meters above sea level. With such a level of the Caspian Sea, its shores will look like this. And then it shows that it's destined to be swallowed up by the ocean. Near the sea, not far from Derbent, there is a place fenced off with stone slabs at the top where 40 martyrs lie, and the Muslims, 88, and Armenians, 89, say that these are Russian 40 holy martyrs. All Russian people who pass through go to worship them, and some serve them in prayers. They lie each in their own tomb, and on each of them is placed a large white stone with an inscription carved into it. No one can read it. So this is the type of detail that I'm talking about that you can find in Live Journal. So it's saying that in Derbent, way down in the dirt, they found these stone caskets with people in them. And there's inscriptions on them, and they don't know what the inscriptions say. This may or may not be a picture of that. I'm not actually entirely sure. But there are 40 ancient graves that could be way older than is known. Another view of Derbent. See, this says Derbent, Caucasia. Just some old pictures. It was a northern frontier border town during the Aryan Zoroastrian rule of the region. Derbent means closed door or closed gate in Persian. That's because it went up this hill, and they just surrounded it with all these stone walls that were very thick and very large, and they were able to kind of hang on to that spot pretty good for a while, certainly long enough to become prosperous. Derbent, before it was Derbent, was likely part of the Sassanid province of Balasagan, which I'm not quite familiar with. This would have been in the 5th century. This is sort of like old Iran, old Persia. This has a little bit more of the history. But there's evidence of occupation going back 5,000 years. And that 5,000 years ago, there were people, and they were settled there, and they lived there. But that would have been back, back to the 4th millennium BCE. They found stone, bronze, axes, and pottery. In the first millennium BCE, the history of Derbent was closely linked to events north of the Caucasus and the Eurasian steppes in general, and the fortress was important in the defense of areas south of the Caucasus. It had a thickness of 7 meters. I don't know how big that is, but it sounds big. This is what's left of the Sassanid fortress today. I would imagine that all this stuff underneath is probably more of the structure that you just can't really see. This is one of the inscriptions. This is a different inscription. This isn't the inscription that I was talking about. This is more pictures. This is an ossuary. So just a very cool little thing that I found just by Google mapping, just by going from place to place. So this place that we're talking about only became part of the Russian Empire just 200 years ago. And for 2,000 years, they controlled the trade route connecting Persia to the steppes of the Volga Basin. 2,000 years, that's no small feat. Especially when we look at America, right? We're only a couple hundred years old and we're already threatening to tear ourselves apart. It's wonderful. Is that a cat? That looks like a cat. It is a cat. Huh. We got to make sure we save that cat because, you know me and cats. Okay, there we go. Now going back to Derbent, its location, and that it had Zoroastrianism as its main philosophy. Did Zoroastrianism influence Christianity? Is that where Christianity came from? So Zoroastrian teachings influenced many concepts in Christianity, including heaven and hell, Judgment Day, the final revelations of the world, angels and demons. Zoroastrian's dualistic view of the world and human destiny influenced Christianity. The early Christians and Jewish people likely came into contact with Zoroastrianism, and Christians identified Zoroaster with figures such as Ezekiel, Nimrod, Seth, Balaam, Baruch, and even Jesus Christ. And Zoroastrianism originated as an attempt to unify a polytheistic religion under the worship of one supreme God. Fascinating to think about. So we go to Reddit, which we love, right? Is Christianity just a copy of Zoroastrianism? And someone said there are big differences. But there are big things that are alike as well. So fascinating to think about how all these things lead to other things. Here's a beautiful photo of the entrance to the Derbent Citadel wall. You can see how big it is. These are some of the people that live there. This is the town, the old town. I love it. I would love to go there. Some people want to go to like Costa Rica. They want to go to the beach. Like, I want to go to places like this. To me, that's where like the real history is. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful photos. It'll be in the links. You can click through and look at all of them. Now we're going into conspiracy land, sort of. And this is kind of a strange thing. I'm trying to figure out how to get into this. How can we get into this? So as you know, or as you may not know, you might be learning for the first time, I love medieval art, or really any art in general. So there's this pattern. And of course it doesn't blow up. View gallery. Oh, it's so big. It's these three Three dots. See these three dots on this? Three dots. Three dots. Okay, so you might say, oh, big deal, right? It was given is a pattern. The pattern, it was given the name cintamani because some scholars have tried to link the design with the three stones of Buddha, since the Ottoman Empire had strong trading links with the East, and it would make some sense to assume that the rug weavers of old might have found the symbol appealing. So popular was this design that it was used in the garments of the elite in the royal courts of the Ottoman Empire. The three circles grouped in a triangle is indeed a very sacred symbol in Buddhism. According to legend, the Mani stone is one of 4 relics that came in from a chest that fell from the sky during the reign of King La Thathari Nyansen of Tibet. Though the king did not understand the purpose of the objects, he kept them in a position of reverence. Several years later, 2 mysterious strangers appeared at the court of the king, explaining the 4 relics, which included the Buddha's bowl, possibly a singing bowl, a Mani stone with the Ambani Padra Hum mantra inscribed on it. These few objects were the bringers of the Dharma to Tibet. The Buddhist Trinity consists of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and these 3 states are represented by the 3 circles grouped in a triangle. We find legends of 3 sacred treasures in many civilizations believed to be given by the gods or representing the gods, the 3 wise men, right? The 3 sacred treasures of Japan, for instance, consist of the sword Kusanagi, the mirror Yata no Kagami, and the jewel Yasakani no Magatama. The regalia represent the 3 primary virtues: valor, wisdom, and benevolence. There's more about the cintamani and it being a universal symbol. So you say, oh, well, okay, great. But then, I found myself here, and I started looking. We got 3 dots, actually put into the stone. Now we go into paintings, and we see them show up in paintings, but these paintings look Middle Eastern or Persian to me, so I say to myself, oh, well. But then we go into Hellenistic pottery. We have the 3 dots. Let's go to page 5. Now we go into medieval art. This looks like Eastern European medieval art, and we have the dots. As you can see, the dots. So you might say, Laura, what's your deal with the dots? Why do you find the dots so interesting? And I say to you, I find them interesting because they are repeated over and over and over again, and I'm interested as to what their ultimate source was. I mean, is it just something that looks pretty? There's a way in which it's done that is very deliberate. Let's go to the last page. 3 dots. See, we have the 3 dots there. 3 dots. 3 dots worked into the brass or copper, whatever that is. 3 dots. Cintamani, the triple dot motif in Western art. Cintamani, also known as cintamani or chintamani, is the symbol of 3 in 1, the triple dot motif in which dots are organized in a triangular configuration. So then I started looking at academic articles about cintamani, and I somehow ended up getting linked up with the Green Man. Now if we go, who was the Green Man? Another thing that goes way back. It's a pagan fertility figure. By the 16th century, the term Green Man referred to a man covered in leaves who participated in parades, pageants, and rituals. He was often a whiffler who cleared a path for the parade. But it goes back way further than that. Here we have the Green Man. The Green Man. But in almost all of the old churches and cathedrals in like Britain, you'll find the green man somewhere. Here's a green man. Who is the green man? Let's see if this gives us any more information. The symbol of a face of a man surrounded by leaves or with leaves coming out of his mouth or other facial orifices is prevalent in old churches. Masons drew on many pagan themes, and the symbol has been variously interpreted as relating to the Greek Pan, the neo-pagan horn god Nodens, a Celtic deity associated with healing, hunting, and the sea, or the Mesopotamian Tammuz, who symbolized the triumph of life over winter and death. Osiris, Odin, Viridios, another Celtic deity of things green and flourishing, the Holly King, and even Robin Hood. It is an archetype. So this is an article, and it's kind of hard to read because you have to like read it within, and then it has all these ads that are a real pain in the butt. But there was something I wanted to talk about that I felt was important, and now I messed myself up. All right, we'll wait till it does the thing. Do the thing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Skip ad. In part 1 of this article, I wrote about the motif of 3 hares that chase each other around in a circle, a visual puzzle in which each appears to have a pair of eyes and ears, but in fact there are only 3 of each. In part 2, I will describe another decorative symbol of 3 in 1, the cintamani or chintamani, the triple dot motif in which dots are organized in a triangular configuration. The story of the cintamani seems to me to march in step with that of the 3 hares. He talks about the 3 hares, talks about the difference between the Buddhist cintamani and those in the artifacts in the West. The former are larger and resemble beads or mistletoe berries. There is something specific. He links it to Christ somehow. He links it to Christ. Cintamani. I don't feel like wading through that right now. Many common motifs can be found in Central Asian textiles, which help to tell the story of those who made and used them. Where's the Chintamani? There's the Chintamani. Now, interesting, Chintamani was also used on the clothing of, how can I put this without sounding like too crazy? So, Tartaria was a real place, not the Tartaria with the culture that existed and then was destroyed by the man, and now only like remnants remain and history is a lie. Which I partially believe in. Well, I believe in the history is a lie part, but what I'm talking about by Tartaria is the actual like Tartary that existed. Like if you looked at a map, there was an area that was Tartary. Let's see. I had a point here. It's been so long since I looked at this. I feel like I've lost the plot. So, well, this is terrible. It's an article about Tartaria, but like real Tartaria. I don't know what my point was. There was a point. But here we have Derbent on Twitter, of all places. Look at that. There it is. Introducing the Chintamani. Yeah, there was a link there with Tamerlane and the Tartarians and the Chintamani design and even Derbent. Like all those things connected somehow, and I had an overarching wonderful thing, amazing thing that I was going to say that would make you go, wow, it's all connected. But I totally messed it up, and I'm not going to stop it because I've already done this thing 3 times, and I haven't done it in a while. So we're just going to plow forward. So Chintamani has also been, is now in its modern incarnation, I should say, has been adopted by New Age people. At first, folklore seems to suggests that there has just been one single Chintamani. As we untangle mythology, history, and philosophy through time, we discover there have been multiple Chintamanis from prehistory into the present. The image of one great earth gem expands to include a number of other dizzying possibilities. The Chintamani is from outer space. What? There are an indefinite number of Chintamani-like gems that appear and disappear through the course of time. It is the philosopher's stone. It is a system or grid of gems with particular qualities and focused energy. It is a technology embedded in crystals. It transcends time and is multidimensional. It activates by the power of intention. It is a primal archetype. It is a tool for spiritually realized beings. Well, that leaves me out. To guide humans. It is a subtle essence embedded in the root of consciousness itself. It is a means to transform limited awareness into the realization of supreme enlightenment. And it is the quantum expression of great compassion, wisdom, and skill. So, there you have it. New Age adaptation of the Chintamani. I guess I had some more Tartary. I'm not sure where I was going with that. It'll be in the links. It's kind of interesting. So, just for those that don't know, I'm including Tartaria and the conspiracy theory behind it because I have referenced it. And maybe you don't know. Maybe you haven't heard about it before. You probably have. I've talked about it before. What part of it do I think is true? I think that history is kind of a lie, but it's a lie by nature. When you have that much time rolling over itself, thousands and thousands and thousands of years, things are going to become a lie just because so much time has passed. Who knows what actually really happened? That being said, history has definitely been manipulated by those in power since the beginning of time. All right, so we're going to look at some pictures now before I close. I can't believe I've made it this far. This is amazing that it's actually lasted this long. And we're going to listen to a song that I love that I found, and only 774 people have watched it. But we're going to put it on and go through some really cool pictures. This is Oscar Brown, Cut Me Off. And it's Volt, which is a music series they play. You know, it's almost like the small desk concert or little desk concert, whatever it's called. It's kind of like that. Maybe that's too loud. I like it loud. It's a great song, though. Uh-oh. Here we go. Cool pictures. I think this is Samarkand.
I know you think I don't care.
Incredible pictures.
But the truth is that I think back every day. And I can't help feeling I can't find the meaning alone.
It's incredible, that picture.
Instead of alone against it You said I've lied to end, just something else to begin.
So what I'm showing you, actually, the pictures of hummus, this would have been Tartary, or considered Tartary back in the day. And these structures are, they're so old. Who knows what's in the ground? But because of the instability of the region, it's not like you could send a bunch of archaeologists there to just kind of hang out. Before we stop, another thing, the art of Sid Mead, one of my favorite. He's a visual futurist, I guess we would say. You'll overcome these in time. Must I wait so long? I hope you realize I didn't want it to end. Just something else to begin. To begin. All right, guys. We made it. I should probably stop this and save it before it crashes on me and deletes everything that I just did. So this episode, definitely not my greatest. It's been in the hopper for way too long. It's gotten stale. But I am going to be doing this more now, back in the groove. Also as a way to help keep myself sane, because things in the world are very strange right now. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode of Stuff I Find Interesting. I may do another episode of just like music, but that'll just be like loosey-goosey and not that this is like incredibly structured or anything. Anyhow, thanks for watching.